Here we go. We're getting started. All right. We already started. It is breed. Oh, you know what I need? I need a. I mean, we can keep going, but I keep having. I have this Breeders' Cup. I get the wrong Breeders' Cup logo. I mean, I have one, but I have the. What do you call it? Oh, the Win in Your Ins one. How's it going, John?
It's going great, Greg. A little exhausted. Other than that, we'll make it.
Yeah, you had yourself a long show.
A 3.5 hour show. I just finished.
And why? And is that something that you do that just what once or twice a year?
We do it for Breeders' Cup and we do it for Derby. It's a Zoom seminar with Len Friedman from the Raggers and Sheets.
And then that goes off pretty well.
It goes off very well, but I mean, it's just a long process. He goes through every horse, we go discuss every line. It's too much. And then I can't be fresh and ready for this show, the show that counts.
Oh well, I appreciate that. Okay, that looks nice. I like that logo. So what we're gonna do, but as we wait for Chad to come on, Chad will be with us shortly,
We
and
hope.
we have we're doing two shows this week for everybody. We've got our Friday coverage and we have our Saturday coverage. So on Friday coverage, which is what we're going to start with today, we are going to do races 7 and 8. That is the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies race, and then race 8 is the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. So that's what's going to be going on this show. Of course, you're going to stick by for our second show, because that is Saturday's card. And we have three races. We've got the Breeders' Cup Turf, we have the Breeders' Cup Classic, of course, and the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, which is actually after the Breeders' Cup Classic, if that makes any sense.
Classic used to, well, forever was always the last race of the Breeders' Cup. It was a $6 million race, or if it was a couple of million less the last couple of years, it still was the biggest pot, and it was always, the climactic race. It was supposed to be. I guess they changed it this year. So we're going to start with the seventh race, which is the mile. It's a Turf Breeders' Cup. It's for fillies, and whenever you're ready.
Yes, we are. And we're going to have five horses in this race, between 4 and 6 to 1 odds. That's led by the morning line favorite, the 11. She Feels Pretty, a 4-to-1 shot. John Velazquez is on board. Only two races, a 16 and a 13. And that 13 was at Woodbine, so that's not exactly the major leagues. So that to me sounds like, especially with a lot of inexperienced horses, that's a horse we want to try and beat, John.
Well, he has a shot. The Woodbine, by the way, is not the minor leagues. It's a serious track. They have serious purses. It's a synthetic track, so that's why I
Ah,
usually don't
synthetic.
play it.
Okay.
They have turf and synthetic, but the horses, they have big purses there. They have terrific trainers there. I mean, the Cassies, you have a lot of trainers that do very well there
How come we don't do Woodbine too much then?
because it's a synthetic track. We don't we try to avoid synthetic tracks if we have a choice.
What is their big, card?
They had the Queens, whatever,
Oh,
a
okay.
few
Got it.
weeks ago. They have $1 million races there, and a lot of them. So to call it a minor league track was not being fair.
Well, I think they probably. Well, you think they'd rather hear us say a minor league track or a crappy synthetic track?
I'm sure neither.
Yeah. By the way, I should let everybody know, because this is really important, very important, and that is you are getting this race. This show is for free on YouTube. This is real important, though. Okay, it's on, of course, Prime Sports Network. It is the last race show we are posting on Prime Sports Network exclusively. We are going to our brand new YouTube channel and it's called Horsepower. And you can see the link in the description area of this video. So from now on, you must subscribe to Horsepower. Description, check the link out, subscribe, And from now on, that's where we're going to be doing our races. I'll still edit some parts of the race on Prime Sports Network, but you want to know where we're going to be every week. Well, we're going to be on YouTube. Now, of course, you want to be on Patreon more than any of our platforms, because that's when you can get the races for free, not for free, but for $5 a month, and you get them every Thursday. Usually is when we post the shows. We're doing it early this week because of the Breeders' Cup. All right, so let's get into let's run through some of the other favorites first. Buchu, the number 3, is a 6-1 shot. The sheet line is pretty nice, John. In the last 3 races, all on turf, first 3 turf races for Buchu, 22, 18, and 14. So that's good. You got the 4-point tops back to back. You've got a win in a grade 2 race last time out at Keeneland.
Yeah, I think she's bouncing off the 14. She ran a 4-point new top last time out. And the fact that she's only 6-1, I would certainly try to beat her. First of all, just as a general rule, the European shippers usually, especially on the grass, do extremely well in these turf races. So, we don't always have numbers on all the European horses, but we have enough numbers on the European horses. And again, they generally do well. You got the Charles Appleby's, the Aidan O'Briens. They have some real good trainers who have a lot of success when they ship to this country.
Yeah. Actually, there was something, a train of thought. I'll get it back, though. So Buchu, main thing is you're expecting a bounce. What about when you see a horse having back-to-back 4-point tops?
Well, they don't keep moving forward. What do you think? A 12 is coming, or off the 14, a 10 is coming? No, that doesn't happen. They're not machines. Listen, can it happen? Of course it could happen, but you have to be rewarded in the price. I don't know, you picked this race out or Chad picked this race out. This is an extremely difficult race, and I certainly would demand some value. I happen to like a price horse in here, but it's off of an angle. But let's go through it.
Yeah. And again, keep in mind, there's 5 Breeders' Cup races on Friday and 9 on Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
all right. Let's just stick with the top contenders. And now we're going to go to Porta Fortuna at 5-1. This one looks like a tough one. You've got the European import combo there. You've also got a sheet line that looks pretty nice. 20, 18, 16, and 12. 4-point top last time out, but at least this one's gone down to 12. What about Porta Fortuna?
This is another one that I think is bouncing. I mean, she's only 5-1. You have a lot of horses in this race off at tops. The 3, Bucco, is off at top. The 6, Porta Fortuna, is off at top. The 9, Carla's Way, 6-1, is off at top. So all these horses are off at tops. I like playing against horses that come into the race that ran a top last time out. First of all, most of them are over bet. Because people look at what a horse did last time out. And if you ran a top, chances are you ran pretty well in the race. You didn't run a top and run 6 by 15 lengths.
I just realized, remember, so what I wanted to ask you was, when you see the sheet lines come over, say, from Europe, do you look at them any differently? Like, do you say, well, if he ran a 12 over there, that might have been a 10 over here?
No, you can't do that because they're different. You can't do that. You got to just.
It just always seems like these horses from over in Europe, they have these higher sheet numbers, and they come over here, and then they beat the horses with the lower sheet numbers.
Well, generally speaking, like I said before we just started, as usually the European horses on the grass are better than the American horses, as a general rule.
Okay.
Doesn't always have to be, but we saw it throughout the whole summer. How many times did you see Charles Appleby ship in and win? And, there are guys that do very well.
Okay, another top contender is Carla's Way at 6-1 is once again. And same situation with the sheet line in the last 3, 25, 19, 14. So I'm assuming you have the same response.
Exactly. And she's only 6-1.
All right.
Can I give you the horse that I like?
Well, we're still going to go with the top contenders first. She Feels Pretty, the 4-1 shot we talked about.
They're only top contenders because you're looking at odds and you think that it's top, but that doesn't mean that they're really the top contenders.
Well, I'm just going by the odds.
Okay.
So, and then Hard to Justify, you've got Pratt Brown combo, only 2 races, 2016. So not much to go on there.
No, there's no history. That's why I don't like this race in general. I don't like the 2-year-old races because they're lightly raced and we don't know what their top really is. They ran a 22 first out, then they ran a 16. How do we know that's the top?
All right, so now get started with your top selection for race number 7.
My top selection is the 4-horse Lawlin. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah,
You
sounds
want to
good to
pronounce
me.
Lawlin? Okay, so
Walnut.
this horse had 6 races total, I guess, in Europe, right? And
Okay.
3 of them we have numbers on the last 3 races: a 17, a 15, and a 15. And the last 15 was with trouble. What I like about this horse is you're going to tell me there are faster horses in the race. That's correct. However, this horse has never done anything wrong. She's moving forward with each race. Not only that, she gets a major trainer switch. She goes first time for Phil D'Amato. Phil D'Amato in Southern California hits at a very high percentage. So, for that reason, the horse is moving forward where other horses in the race are coming off of tops. She gets a barn switch that's a positive barn switch. And what I like best is she's 15-1. So if she moves forward, she could easily run a 13 off of this line. Can she not? You've looked at enough sheets. A 13 will win this race. She only has to improve 2 points.
Yeah,
Therefore,
you see, it's one of those European horses that's going to come over here and prove that even though the best sheet was a 15, best sheet number there, that horse is still going to find a way to beat the rest of the U.S. horses here.
correct.
So
And you're getting 15
yeah,
to 1.
15-1. That's the big one.
All positives. Positive trainer change, positive line, European horse, and the price is certainly right.
Taking a look at the rest of the field as far as horses that stick out just for whatever reason. The one, Buttercream Babe, has a sheet line of 2018-17. Unfortunately, 17 is the best. You're getting 30-1 with Saez up front. Now, you've got a really good combo at the 2, the 20-1 shot. You've got Juan Hernandez having a great meet, and Peter Yurton, who's also having a nice meet, even though just 24 starts. But that's the best combo in the field at 20-1. Unfortunately, the sheet line not very, not very promising after the first 2 wins this year.
By the way, going back to the 1-horse for a second, there's nothing wrong with Mike Maker and Louis Saez either. Those connections are pretty good. And this horse has never gone backwards.
Nope.
2018-17. She's 30-1. Anyone that wants to make a case to use this horse in the numbers, I could certainly see it.
Also, the 55, the 15-1 shot's another Aiden O'Brien trained horse who's coming off a 16 last time out. And that was at 1 mile at this distance. Of course, it was in Ireland, but, it was a 16, pretty close to the number that you have with your horse last time out.
But there's a difference. This horse is off a 5-point new top. This horse isn't getting a trainer change. This horse keeps the same trainer who's very good, don't get me wrong, but she's also a 2-year-old. She's run a lot of races in a short period of time, and she's off a 5-point new top. I would play her to react and bounce.
The 7 is a 12-1 shot, and the 8's a 15-1 shot. You got the Ortiz brothers there, and you have a 19-16-17 for Gala Brand, and a 17-17 on turf for Life's and Audible. That's the Pletcher horse.
She hasn't done anything wrong. She can make a forward move. Again, as you've seen, every horse that we've been through so far basically runs between a 14 and 17.
Yeah.
That's why this is a very difficult race.
And then you have the 10, a 12-1 shot. Now, this is interesting because you got Walsh and Gaffleone. That's as tough as they come in this race. 2 for 2 on turf. This horse is a closer. 22 first time out. Next, 14. So you're definitely expecting a bounce, but you are getting 12-1 with that combo. And this is a closing horse, so maybe you get lucky with a early fraction. So what about the 10?
This horse is fine, except for a few things. First of all, it's never a top in the second when a horse makes a second start or his second career start.
Okay.
First place doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
They give a horse out. You don't know if they were trying. It was first time out. Obviously you're not going to see the best first out. The only problem I have with this horse is I read today an interesting stat. horses that ship in from Kentucky Downs to the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah,
Oh,
I circled Kentucky Downs on that one. Yeah.
oh for 29. Oh for
Oh,
the last 29. So I was using this horse, but that stat kind of turned me off a little bit. You know, you think, well, they're coming from Kentucky Downs where they go up and down hills. They'll like it, but they're 0 for their last 29.
yeah,
Horses that made their last race at Kentucky Downs going into the Breeders' Cup are 0 for 29. So keep
yeah.
that in mind.
Now it's over the last 29.
Yes.
Okay, so it has been done before, but it's been
I don't
29.
know. I just know that it's 0 for 29.
Okay.
That's a big enough sample for me
Yeah.
to know that it's not so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know what the actual stat would be, but I did circle because I was like, wait a second, coming from Kentucky Downs, so there might be an issue there. So
Yeah.
certainly is. Also, let's see. The other horse to mention, actually, two more to go. That's the 13, Dreamfire. This horse ran an 18 at Santa Anita, 1 mile. That doesn't sound all great, but the horse has pretty much gone wire to wire in the first 3 starts, 2 of them in grade 3 races.
Well, first of all, winning from the 13 post at a mile at Santa Anita is not an easy thing to do. They don't usually have fields with 13 horses in them at a mile, but you could bet your bottom dollar that you always look at those stats and how they do from post positions. Very few horses win from out there. Could be done, but again, and the horse is slow. We mentioned
Yeah.
7 horses that ran fast in the 18. So.
And then the 14, the last one I wanted to mention is the 8-1 shot, Les Pavot. I don't know. Anyway, back-to-back 13s coming in here isn't all that bad considering the rest of the field, but 14th post position.
The post position is the problem. The trainer and the jockey's actually pretty good. The jockey's very good, I heard. But I just think he's outposted. So the way that I would bet the race is I certainly like the 4 to key if you get anywhere near that price. And it's so difficult to find horses underneath. Listen, you could use the 8 if you want. You could use the 10, that horse from Kentucky Downs, but you're bucking a trend. The 11 has a shot. You need a lot of horses underneath. You may be better off just betting the 4 to win in place if you really get a price.
All right. I'm going to go with the 6. I'm going to go with Porta Fortuna and take those crazy European trainer and jockeys. And
Okay.
I'll throw the 10 in there and see if I can buck that trend. All right. So that is race 7. Again, this is on Friday. And the other race we're going to talk about on this report is race number 8. So of course, you got the double here, which is nice. The 6th is the morning line favorite in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And this is a mile and a 16th. So again, the 6 is the morning line favorite by the name of Locked. And that's a Todd Pletcher trained horse. Now, you also have 3 other horses at 4-1 on the morning line. That's the 2, Prince of Monaco, the 4, Timberlake, and the 10, which is Muth at 4-1. That's a Baffert horse. All right.
First of all, we have a late scratch in the race. The 5, not that he had any chance, will scratch.
Okay.
Oro Neo coming out.
Bye-bye 5. All right, so let's start with the morning line favorite, and that is going to be the 6, as I mentioned, Locked, the Ortiz-Pletcher combo, coming off back-to-back wins, including a grade 1 win last time out at this distance. Now, he ran an 11, and that's actually, if you take a look at the sheets, it really does look good. 13 first time out, went to a 9 second time out, broke maiden, and then you did bounce. That was going to happen, and still wound up winning the race, 7-2 Locked.
He's okay, but he's not better than a couple of other horses in the race, which I like, that are longer prices.
Okay, and then we'll take a look at some of those other 4-1 shots. Prince of Monaco, the 2. You've got Baffert and Pratt. Same situation, 16 first time out, 9 in the grade 3 win, bounced to the 13 at Del Mar last time out in the grade 1 win. So this is a horse that's 3 for 3. They paid big money for him. Hasn't done much wrong. So what about the 2, Prince of Monaco?
The difference between the 2 and the 6 is the 2's 3 races were sprinting. The 6's last 2 races were both going a routed ground. We don't know that the 2 could handle the distance. He may be bred to handle the distance, but he hasn't done it yet. So that certainly gives the 6 the edge over the 2. However, there are other horses in the race, like Timberlake, for example, that hasn't done anything wrong. Yeah, the race 2 starts back at Saratoga was not good. However, he did have big trouble in that race. So I'm
Well,
reading
that
it
could have
as
been a
20.
bounce too, anyway.
What?
That could have been a bounce race
Yeah,
anyway.
well, but he did have trouble in the race, and it was a very roughly run race. So I'm just going to draw a line through it. So I'm reading it as 12-10 in his last 2 races. He's the longest out of the 3 horses that we mentioned that had a shot. So he certainly should be used. It's Brad Cox who always sends him out ready to run. You're getting Florent Giroux, and he's the longest out of the, they're going to bet Baffert, they're going to bet Pletcher. Of course, they're going to bet Cox too, but he may be the longest one. But there's an interesting horse in this race that we should talk about, and his name is General Partner, the 8 horse. He's a little slower. He's a point slower. But look at his sheet. 19 first out, which doesn't mean anything. Then he ran a 13. Then he ran a 12 last time out when going long for the first time. So he's never done anything wrong. And he's 8-1. If you're looking for a price horse, that's the right way to go. Personally, I like Timberlake the best, but I would not be surprised if General Partner outran his odds. And actually, it's Chad Brown. He's going to run well here. And I like that horse.
Well, what's good about you mentioned, of course, the second last time out, that was to Timberlake.
Yeah.
So finished second, only to Timberlake, and again ran the 12 in that race to Timberlake's 10. The other 4-1 shot is Muth. So you got, again, Juan Hernandez. You got Bob Baffert. Great combo. Very steady sheet line progress, which is really kind of what you're looking for in the first 3 races. 14, 13, and 12.
But time out. Isn't this similar to General Partner sheet? The only difference is General Partner's twice the price. Muth went 13-12.
Sure. Yep.
General Partner went 13-12 also.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, there's no other reason. So, except you got Baffert.
Yeah. Okay. So I got Chad Brown
and Juan Hernandez. That's maybe
Chad
that's
Brown.
why he's no, actually that's Muth.
Muth has the home court advantage. It's his track where he runs, so you can give him a little credit for that. But I like 4s and 8s in the race. I like Timberlake and General Partner. Those are the 2 horses I'd be interested in.
Let's see. The 1 is an 8-1 shot. The Wine Steward, that's the maker horse with Saez, ran a couple of 13s.
Those were sprinting. The route race was a 15, not as good as the sprint races. So he made a backward move going long. So that's negative to me.
Wine Me Up has only 2 races, a 17 and a 14. And the second place finish, the 14, was in the grade 1 race at Santa Anita at this distance, and it was second to Muth.
Yeah. Okay. So all these horses, again, you're dealing with 2-year-olds. Anyone's eligible to improve. All I could do is bet the horses that ran the numbers, that I'm moving in the right direction. And again, that's why I have the 4 and 8.
The 9 is Fierceness. That's the Pletcher Velazquez combo at 6-1. Now, this horse is not run on a dry surface yet. Had a 7 in his first start, which is extremely impressive. Then majorly bounced to the 21, but that was on a sloppy track.
But so was the 7 on a sloppy track that he ran sprinting, wasn't it?
It was an off track, yeah.
It was sloppy. It was muddy. Okay, so the problem with this horse is Timberlake beat him by 20 lengths last time out. They were in the same race,
And he's 6-1.
Yeah, he's 6-1, but that's just too big a bounce. You go 7-10, 7-12, 7-20. That's a bad sign. That 7 really hurt him.
11 looks like maybe an intriguing long shot because you do have Pletcher and Irad Ortiz Jr. You also have a horse that has only run once on a dirt race, and that was a 15 at Monmouth, won that race, and now coming in at 20-1, with a pretty good switch to Ortiz the last time out in that grade 2 race at Keeneland, but that was a turf race at this distance.
I would rather bet the 8 at 8-1 than the 11 at 20-1.
All right. So once again, your top picks.
4s and 8s, so a slight edge to Timberlake, but the 8 may be the bet at the price.
The 4
Obviously,
with the 8.
yeah. I mean, you could use locked, obviously. You could use Muth, obviously, underneath. But I'm making the 4 or 8. The winner coming from the 4 or 8.
Yeah, the 4 does look like a pretty good bet based on the information that you provided. So I'm going to go ahead and do 4 with the 11. Okay, so that is Friday, and again, Friday. What would be like Friday with the 5 Breeders' Cup races? Are most of those the younger horses?
They're all 2-year-olds
All
on Friday.
2-year-olds.
Right.
Okay.
Friday is 2-year-old Breeders' Cup.
And
Correct.
you like, well, you said it's harder. Obviously, it is. So, do you? I mean, is it one of those deals where if it wasn't for a Breeders' Cup day, it really wouldn't be all that great a handicapping day because of
No,
that?
2-year-old races. The only good thing about Breeders' Cup is they bet millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And if you get lucky and you hit a couple of these races, you can make a lot of money because horses that are during the week would pay $7 could pay $12 and $14. There's always a horse that slips through the cracks that people ignore and pays a big price.
All right. So again, in race number 7, John is going to go with the 4, and no particular second horse.
Well,
And
what's wrong with the 15-1 shot? Do you want me to give out numbers and blow the exacta?
the
And that horse
7th.
pays, yeah, the 4 horse, Luani,
That's what I
whatever.
said. This 4
Yeah.
horse with no other particular horse.
No, one in place. That's good enough.
And then I'm going to go with the 6 and the 10. And then in race number 8, John's going with the 4 over the 8. So a couple of 4s for John in this race, in these 2 races. And I'm going to go with the 4 over the 11. So that's it for your Friday card. And again, Prime Sports Network. That's right here. Our next show is going to be on Horsepower. So if you want to see that, you better subscribe to Horsepower. Check out the link in the description area. I'll also put it pinned as well to make it as easy as possible to click, go to the news page, and check it out. And we'll hope to see.
Can I just say one thing about Saturday's card? The 10th race on Saturday, 5 furlongs on the turf, is the best betting race of all the Breeders' Cup races there are. And it's not a favorite. It's a price horse.
Well, then you better move on
There's your
over
hook.
to the
There
new
you
channel and check that race out. By the way, if by some miracle Chad joins us either tonight or sometime before Friday's card, I will try to edit any of his information into these reports. So we're going to wrap it up. And when you see us again, it'll be for our new channel, Horsepower, and also to take a look at the card on Saturday.